will you feel when you realized that the financial report you are holding is full of errors and mistakes? How will you feel? And what are the consequences of using such a report for decision making? What are the likely consequences of using a report that is full of error and mistakes for decision making? I believe you will all agree with me that internal control is the backbone of any reliable financial reports, and transparency is the key to building a strong financial statement. So greetings to everyone. My name is Oluwatobi Okoma, and I'm proud to be part of Questnote Services. At Questnote Services, we are committed to ensuring that every financial report is accurate, transparent, and in compliance with the standard. So today we are going to look at the demo for the ICFR review templates. We'll look at the review pack and its self-awareness training presentation as well. And everything we need to successfully carry out implementation of ICFR, that is internal control for financial reporting. So we'll be looking at the 3 packages for this exercise, which is on our screen. We have the awareness training slides. Then we have the ICFR assessment checklist. Then we also have ICFR review or template, which is basically for auditors. So we will look at the awareness training first, which helps employees or staff to understand what ICFR is all about, and also their rules in keeping financial processes secured and also accurate. So this is just to ensure that everyone knows what to do. I mean, the training, it ensures that all staffs and personnel knows what to do and why it matters to adhere to ICFR guidelines, and also how to avoid mistakes and fraud. The second package is the self-assessment checklist, ICFR assessment checklist, which is basically designed specifically for senior managers, process owners, and also finance and accounting team, internal audits, and also other key stakeholders as well. So this pack guides management, that is the internal control, the financial accountants, and also other process owner in setting up controls. It is a step-by-step instruction to implement strong financial control that fits with IFRS, also Sarbanes-Oxley Act, and other financial reporting standard. So it helps team to also dictate and also fix control weaknesses before it becomes a major issue. So this package, that is the ICFR self-review checklist, it also helps get ready for external audits by providing all the documents, organizing all the documents for them to review. So the third package we have is the review pack for auditors, ICFR review pack for external auditor, which is basically designed to make their work easier and faster. It gives the auditor all the informations and documents they needed to check and what to test for in order to ensure that the control processes is working properly. So it also helps them to ensure that the company is following the right financial reporting rules. And also, most importantly, it gives the auditors all they need to have to enable them make a good decision, a good opinion on the financials of the organization. So let's quickly look at what ICFR is and also discuss some of the key components that is embedded in the awareness training slide. So internal control over financial reporting requirement and awareness training slide. So let's briefly look at what this entails. We'll briefly look at the overview of ICFR because we need to know what ICFR is and what it stands for and their purposes. Yes, the Financial Reporting Council of Nigeria has issued a guideline for implementing ICFR, especially for public interest complaint. The public interest complaint just like banks, insurance companies, and so on. So the guideline helps this entity to meet their requirement outlined in Section 7 of ICFR Act 2011. So which mandated that every public interest entity must annually file their audited financial reports along with a report on the management assessment of its internal control to FRC. So it is mandatory that every public interest company must file their management assessment of internal audits, internal control to FRC, effectively December 2024. So what is internal control over financial reporting? What is internal control? Let's briefly look at what is internal control is and over financial reporting. Let's look at what internal control is over financial reporting. So this is just a brief demo. We are not going to go in-depthly on the training slide because it's part of our package, but let's just quickly know what this is all about before we go into the demo as it is. So what does it mean? What is internal control over financial reporting? ICFR refers to the processes, the procedures, or company uses to ensure that its financial statements are accurate and also reliable. Is a tool, is a process, is a procedure that a company, as you as an entity, you must follow to ensure that your financial statements are accurate and reliable. So why is this guideline so important? Why is it important for us to follow? Yes, auditors don't merely look for fraud. They check if financial reports have major mistakes and so on. So ICFR is used to help find and also protect errors. Now making sure that the reports are accurate and also reliable as well. And then it also helps spot fraud. You can easily spot fraud using ICFR guideline. And it can also ensure that your financial reports are correct and also follow the standards and rules. So how can provide the service? So who can provide the service? Who can provide ICFR service? Who can provide this service? Number one is the external auditors. The external auditors. The external auditors provide most formal and statutory independent assessment of ICFR. So as part of their financial reporting audits. So usually part of the statutory audit, especially for public interest complaint. So external auditor provide the most formal statutory independent assessment because they are the one to sign off on the report. But an independent FRC assessment can also be done by consulting firms. Independent accountant, like risk advisory firm can also conduct ICFR review. Then regulatory bodies can also do it as well, such as FRCN, SEC. So in some cases, regulators may perform or require to do assessments as well. So also credit rating agency for listed complaints can also be part of the evaluation or review of ICFR as well. So how does this process work? What are this process like? How does it really work? How does it work? Yes, ICFR consultants, the internal teams do the initial assessment. That is, the ICFR consultant gathered evidence on how well the controls are working, like gathering of documents, testings, and also a review of processes. So they also find gaps, weaknesses, and areas of improvement as well. So all these results being gathered by the consultants or internal teams is now shared with the external auditor during the audits. So after gathering all those information, they share it with what? With the external auditors during audit. So the external auditor now review this information, and that is the reason why we have a package for review purposes. So external auditor now do their own tests. They also check their findings as well. So based on all this information, the external auditor now decide if the ICFR is effective or has a major weaknesses. Then they sign off on their audit reports, which is included in the complaint's financial statement. So in summary, ICFR consultants and the internal team can do most of this work, yes. So they can do most of this work, but only external auditors can give the official sign of opinion required for financial reporting. So even if a company hires a consultant to help with ICFR, they still need an external auditor for the final certification. So as a consultant, you have an important job to do. Now you have an additional job to do as a consultant. So let's briefly look at the penalty for non-compliance. Let's briefly look at the penalty for non-compliance. So these are just what the training awareness is all about, because you can't do what you don't know. So you need to educate the staffs or personnel before this is being carried out. This is just to let them know what and what ICFR entails. So it gives them the idea of what the auditors are doing and also the internal personnel. So let's briefly look at the non-compliance. So the non-compliance to FRC requires requirements set by SEC, that is the Security and Exchange Commission SEC, and also Financial Reporting Council in Nigeria. So this can also result to different penalties and fine. Number one, the public company may have to pay fines if they don't meet up with ICFR requirements. And this amount depends on how serious and also how frequent the non-compliance is. Number two is legal action. You know, the SEC and the FRC can also take legal action against the companies that does not follow the rule. So, and it can also include the court orders and also extra penalty as well. Number three of it is reputation damage. You know, not following this rule can also harm a company and also spoil its reputation. So, and this can actually reduce the investor's confidence, and it can also lead to closing up the business. And the last one here is license revocation. You know, in extreme cases, the SEC may take away companies' operating licenses if it keeps failing to comply with FRC. So it's a major issue for us to comply as a public interest company, so that will not be fined. So briefly, let's look at COSO framework. I'm not cheating the slide because there's a lot there. It's part of our package. So I'm just giving you a brief highlight of what FRC is all about. So let's quickly look at COSO framework. COSO framework that is Committee of Sponsoring Organization of the Tradeway Commission. Yes, this is widely used framework for managing internal control and risk management. So it helps organizations achieve their goals while ensuring reliable financial reporting and compliance with the regulator. So COSO framework is a guide to carrying out ICFR. It's a guide to carrying out ICFR. It's just as if Bible is a guide to Christian, Quran is a guide to Muslim. So COSO framework is a guide to ICFR. So it comes with 5 key components. That is, we have the control environment. This control environment, it defines the complete cultures and value set by the leaders. So it goes around the control environment. What are the culture laid down in the organization? So this means that ICFR does not base on only financial report. It also talks about the environment that leads to, because the environment also impacts on the financial statement. So it looks at the environment as well. Then it talks about the second element is a risk assessment, meaning it helps identify potential problems or risks that could affect the company and also in their decision making. So risk assessment is very crucial when we talk of companies. So it is part of the requirement on the COSO. So let's look at control activities. Control activities, these are actions like checking, approvals, and also procedures to ensure risks are managed. So these are the packages in which ICFR is being established to share controls and ensure fraud is not occurring. The next one is information and then communication. Okay, let me just shift the slide a little so that we will not be lost. Let me shift the lights a little. This is all what we have. Let's see, this is COSO framework, so that we can also follow through. We have 5 components. We have the control environment, the risk assessment, control activities. We have the information and communication and monitoring activities. So under information and communication, yes, ensuring the right information is being shared to everyone at the right time, at the right spot, is also the duty of ICFR. So information is very key. How do we share information is very key as well. So let's quickly look at the monitoring activities, that is tracking of how well the controls are working over time and fixing any other issue that occurs thereafter. So it helps you what to monitor the control. So these are the 5 key elements under COSO framework, which comes with another 17 principles. That is, we have different principles under different components. We are still going to get there under review. So you are going to see all the 17 key principles in which COSO framework introduced as a guideline in implementing or in reviewing ICFR. So let's briefly look the formats. I will still go through the slide again. These are the principles, as I said. They are the principle 1, which comes with the control environment. We have the risk assessment. We have the control activities, information and communication. Then we have the monitoring and remediation and also other processes. This is a demo. We are not going in-depthly. I want to show you the format of how the certification of FRC will be and management attestation. So this is a real life format of how it will look like. This is the certification of internal control over financial reporting. You can see it's a real life display. This is the format. This is how it will look after all the verification have been done. So this is going to be signed and also management attestation as well. This is how it's going to look like. So it's going to be added to financial reports. So now we have other 2 reports to add to financial reports aside the independent audit opinion. So we have other 2, which is the management assessment report and also the certification of ICFR. So let's quickly look at other things. We talk about the challenges. Everything is embedded here. So this is just a demo and it's part of our package at Quest-Known Services. So before that, let's briefly move to the next. Please, I'm going to stop sharing so that I can share the next package for the demo. So let's look at the second package we have, which is the ICFR self-assessment checklist. ICFR self-assessment checklist. This is also part of our package, and it serves as a guide for management, for personnel, for internal control, internal team, to ensure that they cover all the guidelines and also try to implement ICFR within their organization. So this package is designed in order to assist management in order to carry out ICFR. So we have the 17 principles and divided under each component. You can see control environment. With the first principle is to demonstrate commitment to integrity. So immediately you click, you tell you these are the things, these are the questions the management needs to know, and also they have to answer the questions as well. Let's look at number 1 as an example. We have, as the company established a code of conduct outlining its value and ethics. So this question, who is responsible to answer this question is the HR, that is the human resources. They will be able to know if the code of conduct is being established and the employees are aware. So they also answer the second question as the board approved the code of conduct. So they need to, all this has to be what? All this has to be asked. So then after that, we have the verification processes, that is asking of document, preparing of their document, then the improvements and opportunity, the gaps there. So, and also the action points. So this template is robustly designed for management in order to implement ICFR. So with them answering all these questions, they will be able to cover all what principle 1 wants. So it also talks about whistleblowing. What are those things you need, the documents you need to ask, the documents of whistleblowing documents, and also the lapses there, and also the action plans. So the same thing applies to principle 2. When you go back to the content, there is principle 2.2. All you need to know about principle 2, the exercising oversight responsibility, These are the questions that is there. Who is going to answer those questions? Is Risk Management Department. So they are going to answer. So each set of principle is responsible for it. Some departments are responsible for each aspect of those principles. And before you know it, all departments that are crucial to the organization will answer their question and also implement this ICFR the way it should be. So this is a package designed for management in order to carry out ICFR, and it's a robust one, and trust me, it's a good package for organization to work through it. So with this, you need not need any other resources, because this is already a robust one and fully researched on anything you needed. So let's quickly look at the third demo. Please, I'm going to unshare again to share the last one, which is the review package. The review package for auditors. So after the management, the audit team have done their own audits, they have done their own review, they've done their own implementation, then the review comes in, because the auditors is going to sign off the report. So they have to do their own test. And this is where the work is. So as an auditor, what do you have to do? What are those things you need to do? So at Quest Known, this template is designed for auditors who are carrying out ICFR for complaints. What they need to do is just to test the controls, but testing is more than that. So this is also designed for them. You know, it breaks all the elements into 17 principles. As you can see on the screen, we have the CE, which represent the control environment. Then under control environment, we have the principles. So at a click of a button, you get to where those questions and detailed testing are. So the first one, if you look at as an auditor, what do you need to check? So these are what you need to check is there. Then what are the questions you need to ask? Because when you are going into a company, you are assuming it's a new company. So you need to ask questions. As an auditor, as someone that needs to know, you need to ask questions. So you don't need to look elsewhere. This is a template, a procedure designed for everything you need to do. What are the questions you need to ask as an auditor when carrying out ICFR? So you don't need any idea, you don't need any initial experience or idea to carry out this if you have this template. So these templates will tell you what you need to do at any point in time. So it's asking, let's look at this for a scenario. It said, as the company creates a code of conduct that defines its value and ethics. So if you relate it with the self-assessment checklist, the management could have put all those things in place, because they too could have answered the questions before the auditors comes in. They could have answered the questions themselves. Did they have it in place? Yes or no? Okay, what are the gaps? Okay, let's quickly fix this before, let's do this. This is what we need to do before auditor comes in. So the auditor now is not asking the same question. They're asking the HR. So they now go further because they are doing a further test to demand for their documents. Which document as an auditor? Which one are you going to demand for? So you are demanding for code of conduct documents. So what are you going to test as an auditor? You have to confirm, look at the column, say testing to be done. You have to confirm the code of conduct, whether it's approved by the board. They also communicated to all staff, and that employees also sign off the acknowledgements. So all this testing, they are there. If you go down, you see all that things you need to ask and what you need to do at any point in time. So after your review, definitely you have something to say. And you have to give us what you have done, what you have seen when reviewing all those things. So what have you done? What are the area of improvement? What did they need to improve on? It is there. Lack of easy access to code of conduct for all employees. You tell them, okay, this is what they are lacking. Now, for every line items you carry out as an auditor, there must be a report. because when you are checking, you are reporting on what you have checked. So immediately you click on area of improvement, it will take you to the reports area. This is where you report your findings. And this report area should be on PowerPoint after you have finished all what you need to do. You can see it's a format of this report to be on PowerPoint. So from here now, you will be able to tell them, during our review, we observe there is a lack of easy access to the code of conduct for all employees. So it will give you a clear head. Okay, I've done this. This is what I've done. So in your report, they want to see what you have checked. Is it in compliance? Are they in compliance? Are they not? So this is on your report page. Immediately you click there, it will bring you back here. So let's go back to the dashboard to continue. We are still in P1, which is principle 1. So after that, you go back, you see another one, which is you have to tell them the strengths to let them know their strengths. So area of strong control. So, okay, where did they have the control? From there, you'll be able to pinpoint, they have a clear approval, and also the code of conduct is well communicated with to the employees, and it's also signed by the board. So all what you need to do is that, so immediately you click on area of strong control, it will take you to where you put your report. So you can see, it will take you to where you put your report. It's a comprehensive, up-to-date, and well-communicated code of conduct. So immediately you are reporting their weakness, you are also reporting their strength as well, because that is what makes up your report. Now, let me quickly explain here. Jotting down or noting your findings depends on the hierarchy, because we have a lot of finders. Let me quickly say that here. So it depends on what? The critical, the findings that you need to prioritize. There are some findings that are major, and there's some that are minor. And that when you go there, let me quickly go down the report so that I'll explain that. Let me go down the report. From here, you will see how to categorize your findings. This is how to categorize your findings. So from here, you'll be able to know those ones that are major, those ones that are minor, those ones that are critical. But here, basically, we use a walkthrough test to do this, because that is where the financials comes in. Let me go back. I'm just letting you to know that all findings have to be categorized, have to be prioritized. So you look at the priority of all findings. But here, we are going to link this aspect to walkthrough test. So let's quickly go back and do the other ones. Let's go back and do the other one. So we go back to the dashboard from here. From the principle 1 we are explaining. So we have the action points too, where this is where it's ended. We have the action points. From the action points, you'll be able to see, this is what they do. Update the code of conduct to the company intranet, or distribute physical copies to employees within 1 month. So this is what you need to do as is like a recommendation. So this is what you need to do as an organization in order to be in compliance with ICFR. So this principle goes on, and you can go back to the dashboard. You do the second one the same way. You see, the same way you do the second one, we have all what you need to ask, what to check. This is the second one, exercising oversight responsibility. What do you need to check as an auditor? What questions do you need to ask? What are the questions you need to ask an auditor? It is there. Exercising oversight. What are the testing, each testing for each category? That if you want to report it, immediately you go back, you see where to report it. So all your reports has to be in this order, because all you have checked, you have to report them. So briefly, let me go through the walkthrough test, which is one of the most important, because it deals directly with finances. It deals directly with figures. So when you are performing walkthrough tests for all your clients, you need to know where their risk area is. You could have asked that maybe from the internal control, from the finance person, even from the meetings you have done, the documentations. You could have known that, this is a risk area. This department is very crucial. So you could have selected like 4 departments, 5 departments that you need to carry out your walkthrough test on. And also the line items you need to carry. Basically, when we talk of manufacturing company, their inventories are crucial. The machines are crucial. So it depends on the entity you are carrying out, you are reviewing as an auditor during ICFR. So you could have look at the major departments. Okay, I'm working on finance, I'm working on this, checking their revenue, I'm checking their inventory. So from there, you're able to perform the walkthrough test. So let's go to walkthrough test. So walkthrough test, you need to look at their flows. You need to look at their flows, that's the process flow. What to check? You check their process flow, their control design, their segregation of duty. Now we are going into financials. So you check their workflow, their process flow. Then you ask them, what are the steps in the processes? What department or systems are involved? So they'll be telling you, this one now, it involves communication. They have to tell you their processes. This is what we do. This is how we do it. This is what we have done, and this is what you have done. So as an auditor, the next thing is to ask for their documents. You see, you ask for which document are you requesting for as an auditor? The process map, the SOPs, the workflow diagrams. So from that workflow, you see how they do, because all companies have an SOP. They have what they do. They have their workflow chart. So you will just request for it. You will go through their workflow. Okay, this is what they said they do. Okay, he said it. This is what they said they do. Then you will now compare it what they actually do in order to get your cap. So to get your gap. So what are you testing? So you review the overall flow of the processes, ensuring that each step is clearly defined and appropriately documented. So you bring out your gap. So what are you bringing out? Identify any step where the process is not clearly documented or understood. You bring it out. If you have seen that is the lapses, immediately you find your lapses as well. You go back to the report to make your recommendations. So from here, you see the strong note area of strong controls. Where did they have their controls? Then the action points. So now here you are going to also go back to your report as well. You go back to your report. Now for walkthrough tests, I said we are going to use this because walkthrough tests, we have some critical areas that are that needs to be reported. Yes, because not everything needs to be reported, but there are some that are crucial that needs to be reported. Fine. During your findings, you have seen some things. You have seen some major issue. This is how it is. Let's read through. We have completed our procedures with respect to the evaluation of internal control over financial reporting, ICFR. The following summaries are findings during the course of our engagement based on the result of the work performed. A total of 8 inadequacies were identified during the review. So these are the 8 inadequacies. Look at the department. You have already chosen some department. From the department, we have some is just minor. Then one is less significant. Another one is critical. So total from production department, we have 2. Then you do the same for inventory. You could have picked some crucial ones. You have to align them critically. So how are you going to do your summary for walkthrough test? This is another one, you see, internal control walkthrough test. So this is the left-hand side is what the procedure, the policies, the organization have in place. This is what they have in place. So what have you checked? You are telling them with a note that this is what you have checked. Let's use this one as an example. This is an inventory. We assume is a manufacturing company. Receive and inspect inventory. So this inspect and match received material with purchase order. So this is their processes. Then what of the approval? Inventory received over 5 million requires manager's approval. So you know that any transaction you take from this that is over 5 million must require a manager's approval. So look at the right answer. What have you tested? You tell them what you have done. Tested inventory. A total of 100 inventory items were reviewed to verify the accuracy of the figure posted into the system, ensuring proper inventory tracking and the correct issuance of a receipt to stockbrokers or agencies. Fine. Now, what is your verification item? Since you have done 100 samples, So my own is that the inventory recorded were confirmed to be accurate. So if it is not accurate, your report has to carry it. Then if it is not accurate, you go further to tell them to break it down. This is what we have observed. And based on the what the identification you have done here, you know, you have said this is a major one, this is a significant one. So you know all those ones that are critical and that needs to be reported in-depthly. And that is where your analysis will take it. Those critical ones has to be reported in-depthly in your reports. So this is how to carry out a walkthrough test on ICFR. So it goes on and on and on. You see, tracking inventory, use in production. So all these ones are their process workflow. So what have you observed so far? It will be the other side. So you'll be telling them each aspect you have observed, this is what, each aspect you have reviewed, this is what you have observed so far. So this is under walkthrough test. So as I've said, all this has to be reported on your PowerPoint. This has to be reported on PowerPoint. So let me quickly look at, let's look at the flow. Okay, let's assume that you have forgotten the process. So this flow also help you to remember the processes, the background of the organization. Look at where you are covering. Then very, very important, the area of strong controls you have to identify it in your report. The area of improvement has to be identified in your report. Then the procedures and method, what are the testing did you do? You report them. Then the rating, as I said, that's the rating from the critical, the less, you have to report them. Then the summary of your findings too has to be done. So this is just to take you through what you need to do under ICFR implementation as an auditor. So with this, we have a package, as I've said, we have a package for you at COSO services. We have a review package for auditors. We have the ICFR self-assessment checklist for in-house. Then we also have the training side, in-depthly powered by COSO services to train staff to make them aware of what they need to do and what ICFR is all about. As I said earlier, you can't do what you don't know. So they need to be aware, and that is the reason why we comprise, we look at resources that will enhances the employees' knowledge on ICFR. So I want us to please patronize us on COSO services for our packages. It's a robust one, and trust me, you will really, really get all what you need for these processes. You need not to go for any other resource after this, because this is in-depthly researched on, and all you need is already embedded in it. So thank you very much for listening, and then get to know you and also add the feedback from you after this training. So thank you very much.